Okay, so I figured I'd start off today's show, kind of like I started off yesterday's show, by berating Zach. I got a couple things I want to get off my chest here to kick off the program today. Or one thing that I'm really concerned about. But first, okay. You're the guy that chooses the titles for the show.
Yeah.
That's all you. It's full creative license. You just go. No guardrails, no frames, just art. Just art, go. So today's is Papi's back.
Yeah. It's double meaning.
Because Auston Matthews scored last night.
Twice.
Yes,
Twice.
2 goals. Very nice, yeah. Which tickled you under the chin, made you very happy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And also Greg Wyshynski is back.
Yes.
From his vacation. First of all, who takes vacation during hockey season?
Seriously.
I've always felt, even honestly, like every time I've thought about it, I'm like, I can't be away for that long. I can't be away. The stress of being away from a season, even for a week, is too much for me. I would be miserable. I would be awful. I'd be terrible to go on vacation with during hockey season. After hockey season is done, no problem. But during hockey season, no way. So Papi's back is a title, which is better than yesterday's. You want to share, for everyone who wasn't with us yesterday, what was yesterday's?
The dog is barking. It's just McKinnon. I spent way longer than you needed to take to do that. It was awful. Finally, I'm just like, honestly, I was like, fuck it. I can't find anything. It's the dog is back.
What
like,
you did
that's it.
Is you were probably still hungover from your drinking on Saturday during your post-game show after the Leafs got clobbered by provincial rivals. And then you thought about it a lot yesterday and then just said, I'm just going to put it in the fuck it bucket. Not every show can be good. That's where I'm putting it. Now, here,
there's a lot more important things for the show, Jeff, than that. The dog is barking.
Title,
was like,
that's,
all right,
that's
whatever.
the invitation in. That's the cheese in the trap. That's the one where people got to go, that's curious. I wonder which dog is barking and how is this dog barking? And I'm oddly curious to see what this program is all about. Here's why I'm scared of today. Here's what I'm deathly frightened of. Greg's back from Punta Cana. So you know what that means?
He's got ideas.
He's got a tan. And probably like a really rich, deep tan, which I can never get. Like I am, I've mentioned this before. I'm one of two things. And those two things are really the Polish flag. I'm either all white or all red. Like that's it. Like I don't have like Mediterranean skin. Biologically, my background is Irish. I have Irish skin. I was then adopted into a Polish family when I was 7 days old. So I can say I look like the Polish flag. I am either all white or all red. There's no shades in between. Wish is going to show up with like this Mediterranean smooth olive oil skin look. And I'm going to look like, no shit, man. Like Zach, like no shit. I'm going to look like mayonnaise cake with vanilla frosting. That's what I'm going to look like on the program today. I'm going to look like just trying to imagine like the whitest things you can think of and put them all together. That's going to be me, like the NHL in 1973, like all white ice and pure whiteboards before advertising. That is going to be me when Wish joins us in a little bit. How about that?
I get dark. I get a nice tan, so I'm sorry to tell you that. In the summer, for you shows and stuff, I will have a nice tan going.
I am the Polish flag or the flag of Japan. Take your pick. I am red and I am white. Like that's it. Those are the two settings that I exist on. Anyhow, on that lovely note, we got a lot to get into today. And as always, we want to thank our friends and our partners at FanDuel. Daily Outlines, as always, powered by FanDuel. Make every moment more with North America's #1 sports book. FanDuel, North America's #1 sportsbook app provider. And on the program today, we've got a number of things we want to discuss there, young Zach. And here's what's up for grabs on today's broadcast. And we thank you for joining us either on your favorite podcast platform or watching us live or in archive on YouTube and participating in the chat. Greg Wyshynski, we mentioned Greg's back from Punta Cana. Greg, our good friend from ESPN. I know, yes. Papi's home. Matthews scored 2 goals. So so you barely had enough loose skin to blink last night when you went to bed. I get it, Zach. Greg Wyshynski is back. We'll talk about a major game today, man. The Ottawa Senators and the Montreal Canadiens. It looks like Ottawa is playing, take the ball and run away with it for that wild card 1 spot. But Montreal's right there chasing that wild card 2 spot. Rangers also in action. They lose. Montreal wins. Uh-oh. Western Conference playoff picture as well. We'll get a sharper focus on that coming up on the program today. We're going to talk a lot about the wild card teams and wild card races. We'll also talk about Dustin Wolf, and we should probably dovetail that. With a conversation about the Calder Trophy race. And there's a wish list coming up on the program today. All Greg texted me was, I have a list for you. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. By the look on your face, you know what it is, but I don't.
I have the list. Yeah.
You have the list? Okay, very good.
Oh yeah.
So we'll get into that here in a couple of moments. We have Wish standing by yet. Is he eager and ready to go?
He's ready.
Tanned and smiling, and he's still probably has some like coconut oil on his collar of his shirt. Here he is, our good friend, who dares take vacations during the season. The one and only Greg Wyshynski. I thought you were going to show up looking like Hulk Hogan or something. I thought there was going to be this rich, deep tan. I was saying, like, I'm going to look like the flag of Poland standing next to you here, but not so fast.
Well, I burn easily, so I'm cognizant of that.
Yeah.
I burn it easily. So, and then the other thing, too, is that we took our 1-year-old on vacation with us, right? So, like, for the most part, I was undercover, like umbrellas and palapas and things of that nature, because she's going to burn. First of all, there's nothing wrong with taking a vacation during the season. Like I came to the conclusion a while ago. Well, you can. You could. Here's the thing. I learned a while ago, and it was definitely when I went from one corporate master to another, that there are very few perks that you get in these gigs, and one of them is like they give you time off. And, if everyone knows that as a hockey writer or as a hockey fan, you're essentially a teacher. Like, you get your summers off for the most part.
Yeah.
But I decided a while ago that, as part of my compensation package, that it's okay to take a week here or there strategically during the season. And in this case, I'm like, I'll just go after the trade deadline. I'll treat it like it's July 1st. I'll just go after the trade deadline, disappear. Now, what was interesting about my destination, which was Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, is that if it is somehow verboten for a hockey fan or a hockey writer to take time off during the season, why was half of Toronto at the resort that I was at in Punta Cana? I kid you not. I was wearing a Devil's hat at this resort, and on at least 4 separate occasions, I had people come over and no one knew it was me, but unprompted, discuss Sheldon Keefe with me.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
How's your coach? What do you think of your coach?
I'm seeing a lot of familiar things from the Devils this year, based on, what Sheldon's doing behind the bench.
Yeah.
It was a good time though. It was good mental break, and it was good to be back though.
Here's what I could never do. Unlike you, and honestly, I'm envious. This is not humble brag. This is not, I swear. I could not get comfortable on vacation knowing that the schedule is still going and things are still happening. I am such a creature of habit. I am such a slave to the grinding gears of a hockey season. I would be awful to be around on vacation. I would be miserable to be around. Because all I could think about is how much I'm missing and how much I'd have to catch up on when I got back. I would be awful.
That is the hard part. That is the hard part. Like, I checked in here and there mostly when I was on the toilet, which luckily was not as often as some other people I've heard in the Dominican Republic. Yeah. Folks, if you're someone who doesn't use the ice cubes, why are you eating the salad? Don't eat the salad. You know where the salad's washed. Just stay away from it. You've solved the riddle. You solved the riddle of international travel. Don't eat the salads. Yeah. So like there were times when I glanced over and like I saw Aaron Ekblad's suspension, and I'm just like, geez, man.
Yeah, harsh.
What am I missing? And then the biggest catch up, which I know we're going to talk about later on, is all the rant and stuff, is something that I had to kind of keep on. But for the most part, again, like just pop a gummy, go to the beach, grab a watered down pina colada, and call it a day, man.
That sounds just, honestly, all of that sounds great. That all sounds
in
awesome.
Theory.
I would still be miserable. I would still be anxious. I would still be always wanting to glance at my phone. That's all I'm saying. We got a lot to get to today, but I just want to say, like, I am envious of you that you're able to do that and enjoy yourself. Do you have good gummies in Dominican?
I wouldn't know. I bring my own and pretend they're vitamins, so
very good.
The TSA doesn't take them away
daughter's
from me.
vitamins.
And I was going to say, by the way, like my relaxation, I mean, let's put air quotes around that. I was vacationing with a 1-year-old who we discovered, quite unfortunately, could not handle the noise or the heat of a hibachi grill. That was the meltdown of meltdowns.
From a hibachi?
She was there. She was hanging. That's
like the balcony barbecue. It's a balcony barbecue. It's tied to a little hibachi. I know. Come on.
Well, like there's a whole TikTok meme of little babies watching the flames go up on the hibachi grill, and luckily we captured that moment, and it was the last moment that she wasn't like going nuclear. Again, it's the things you find out as a parent, what your kid can handle, what they can't handle, and apparently she can't handle being in a small room with someone clanking metal spatulas and trying to throw a shrimp into people's mouths.
Listen, welcome back. I'm glad you had a good time. I'm assuming you had a good time. You're relaxed and recharged, and it's the stretch drive, and playoffs are on the horizon, so it's plenty of time to get cranky and grumpy all over again, just like you were. Right before you left for Punta Cana. Most interesting story going on right now in the NHL for you. I'm wondering where you're at with wildcard teams. There's a major matchup tonight between Ottawa and Montreal, specifically in the East, and the Rangers are at it too, and Ottawa's kind of taking the ball and running here with wildcard one. I'm feeling awful about the Columbus Blue Jackets who can't seem to score any goals, and I don't want the clock to strike midnight on Columbus at all this season, let alone right now. But anyway, quick thought, and we'll start with the East and we'll focus over to the West as well. Quick thought on where we're at with the wild card, because you know what, like, sure, Pittsburgh looks like they're out of it, but I don't know, give Crosby a challenge. They're winning games. I don't know.
Well, if Buffalo wins out, I think that's like 92 points. I don't know if that gets there or not, but let's just keep the faith.
Oh, okay. We're cheering Rochester. We decided yesterday at Rochester, America, just to balance the Buffalo Sabres universe, because we spend so much time just treating them like a piñata that like we got to balance the universe, and so we're throwing all of our weight now behind the Rochester Americans, who are one of the top teams in the American League, just to balance out the conversation.
So Columbus is not only not scoring, but they're also making egregious mistakes. Like the turnover from Jet Greaves last night against the Devils, where Bratt is given the open net and that ends up being the game winner, is just something you can't do when you're in a playoff race. And by the way, just sidebar for the Devs, you want to talk about players? No, Jake Allen, but players stepping up after the star goes out. Jesper Bratt has been insane since Jack Hughes went out. Really to the point of sometimes you wonder what the co-star does when the star is on hiatus. Well, I mean, Bratt's passed that test with flying colors. Like, he's been insanely good since Jack went out. The thing about Columbus though is that they've overcome so much. They're still in that category of team for me that it looks dire, but they still have enough runway to turn it around. And the other part of the Eastern race too, as you mentioned, Pittsburgh still kind of being in it, it's just so mediocre. Like Ottawa sprinted out. They look like they're going to be the first wild card team. Hopefully that's the case. I'd like to see them in the playoffs, and we'll get to why they're there in a second. But everyone else in that mix is just so mediocre. They're so hot and cold. Detroit, I mean, God bless Todd McClellan. He must be going insane with how 1 week they look like one team and the next week they look like a completely different team. The Rangers are up and down. Like, no one blows you away in that pack to the point where it could still be Columbus. It could still be Pittsburgh.
But the thing is, it's the same as last year. Everybody's going into a wild card spot backwards. This is the same. Wish we had this exact same conversation 1 year ago. Everyone's going into the playoffs backwards here. Everyone's going into wild card 2 backwards. It's the same thing.
It's almost like when you look at the East, that the top 6 teams are all really good, and you're like, those are definitely playoff teams and they belong in the playoffs, the top 3 in the Atlantic and the top 3 in the Metro. And then you look down at the rest of the conference and you say to yourself, maybe these teams don't belong in the playoffs, or maybe they should just like fight each other for the right to play these top 6 teams. It's almost like if 7 played 10 and 8 played 9 in what I would call a play-in series, then you'd have yourself a more exciting postseason, but also one that makes more sense in the sense that those bottom teams should fight a little bit harder for entry, whilst those top 6 teams have shown they belong.
No, dude, I'm a salmon when it comes to this. I am against the stream. Like, I'm serious. Like, I am looking for ways to play less hockey because there are so many empty calorie games that we see all season long. And I know the momentum now is, chop off a couple of preseason games. We're going to an 84-game schedule. And now the NHL has realized, and we've all realized together, like how robust an international schedule can benefit all of hockey. So if anything, we're getting more hockey. I'm going the other way. I'm trying to find ways. Like I thought when you were running down the top 6 are really good, but its bottom 2 are kind of mid.
Reduce the playoffs.
I thought what you were saying is let's just chop off around. Let's just chop off around, and here we go.
It's once again my fault for opening up Pandora's box here. We're not going to relitigate the playoff expansion thing right now. We could do that in a future episode.
Yeah, I don't want to let that.
Every other professional league has expanded their postseason. We're up to 32 teams, soon to be 34. We're going to have over half the league missing the playoffs. That's insane. I do love the idea of you and Gary Bettman both dressed like Gandalf, thrusting your staffs down to the ground, being like, "You shall not pass," as we all try to expand the playoffs.
No, but the thing is, they're trying to expand the season too. Like now, it's all of a sudden we're going to go to 84 games. Like, look, quality versus quantity, volume. Here's why I know I'm losing this. Like, trust me, I know I am St. Jude, patron saint of lost causes. I am losing this battle. 100% I am, and I know it because the minute the Players Association signed off on linkage, it was over. Yeah. There's no way they're gonna reduce games at all. They'll play like mediocre 65, 70% hockey a number of times a year just to get through a season before they chop off any games because of the dreaded E word that nobody likes to talk about around the PA.
But don't you think the 84 game season's okay? Because all you're essentially doing is taking a couple games, but it's not though. You're taking a couple of meaningless games in September and converting them into meaningful games during the regular season.
Look, I think that's 82. Fine, right? I think 82 games coupled with like all the international events that they have on the calendar now and things like All-Star breaks, which I still can't believe they're doing an All-Star next year. That if something screams to be scrubbed, it's that. But
that was really funny. Like, I think it was Pierre LeBrun in The Athletic wrote that they might be having second thoughts about the All-Star game next year, which is hilarious, right? Like no one can understand why they were doing it in the first place. They were using it as a launch pad towards the Olympics, not realizing that Four Nations momentum would carry over from year to year, basically, as the launch pad to the Olympics.
About it. I know. You're 100%
I mean,
right.
It's crazy. Right. But again, we talked about this on a previous podcast when I got back from Four Nations and I wrote that story. Like, they don't know what they're doing with the All-Star game now going forward because they want to strike while the iron's hot for the Canada-U.S. rivalry, which, by the way, I don't know if you saw this. I think CNN had it. I haven't read it myself, so forgive me if this was just like some bullshit I saw and on Twitter that is completely wrong. Apparently, Putin told Trump during their phone call today that he wants to stage USA versus Russia games in Russia, is what he said.
I missed that.
I will double check that right now. But I mean, you talk about nonsense. You talk about a real political hot potato. That'd be it.
Keep politics out of hockey, everybody. It's just hockey games. Nope, no politics here whatsoever. No.
USA, Russia, Putin hockey. Daily Mail. Donald Trump backs Vladimir Putin's idea of hosting hockey games between the USA and Russia maybe on American soil, maybe not in Russia. So they want.
And is Putin gonna play too? Like we watch him, we watch all those videos of Putin dangling around pylons, dressed in old Soviet jerseys and scores 8 goals a game.
I can locate it.
Can't get his knees over his toes.
CNN's website is a travesty. Vamp for me for a second.
Well, Greg is finding out the veracity. But yes,
here it is. This is from CNN, so this is like for real. U.S. President Donald Trump supported an idea proposed by Russian President Vladimir Putin to organize U.S.-Russia hockey matches, the Kremlin said Tuesday. So we don't know if this is real. This is the Kremlin saying it. Okay. Donald Trump supported Vladimir Putin's idea to organize hockey matches in the USA and Russia between Russian and American players playing in the NHL and the KHL. This thing just got even funnier, Marek. They wanted to make some kind of a summit series between the US and the KHL.
The KHL, first of all, with all due respect to all those athletes, it's not even close. Yeah. And I'm not saying this like I'm not even saying this like in Canadians in 1972 were so arrogant about like, oh, this series it's gonna be 8 games straight. Russia will be barely score a goal in this series, and then next thing you know, the Montreal Forum happens. Right. This one will not even be close.
But it won't even happen. The NHL does not recognize the KHL as a professional league.
Don't do this to hockey, please. Please don't do this to hockey.
You mean the U.S. president stepping in and forcing the NHL to stage a USA-Russia game as his own version of Glasnost?
Please don't do this. Oh, yeah. Who's playing Lech Wałęsa in that scenario? Look, I do not do this to hockey, please.
I know.
Don't do this, please.
Listen, the good news is that the USA Hockey is in the hands of noted leftist Bill Guerin, and so obviously this will never happen.
Noted leftist.
Oh boy, good stuff.
Good times, everybody.
Ottawa, Montreal, you say then, hey?
Yeah, people talk to you because you're Devil's cap and Punta Cana, hey? Is that fun?
I want to just say something about Ottawa. Like we should give them their flowers. Like you got to give Staios and all them credit for what they did at the trade deadline. Cousins slotting into that Norris spot with Perron and Batherson.
Don't forget about the second round pick. Don't forget about the second round pick.
And the second round pick. 64% expected goals. Yeah. They haven't been scored on yet, I think, at 5-on-5, that line. And it resets everybody. I mean, like the Pinto line's been playing great. You know, obviously, you know what you have with Stützle, Tkachuk, and Giroux. Like they look really
Pinto's
good
where he should be. And Pinto's where honestly, like, we talk so much about slotting. That's part of the. It's not just that they got Dylan Cousins, but they got Shane Pinto in a great spot. I'm with you. I'm with you. Like that was a smart move. Again, we've beaten up on the Sabres too much, but just like it's happening again with another player, isn't it?
I mean, it's starting to look that way, isn't it?
Ryan O'Reilly, Reinhart,
Sam
Montour,
Reinhart.
It's happening again.
On and on and on and on and on. Yeah, exactly. So, I think the last count was 34 goals in their last 8 games. That's insane for Ottawa.
You know what? Montreal. But hang on, pause on one thing. Again, I keep banging the home this point because I want to see it end because I really like the player. I think that Linus Ullmark, when it comes to just like goalie skill, he's got top 10 skill in the NHL. Like the pure skill. 1, he's super skilled. 2, one of my favorite things to watch during Ottawa Senators warm up and previously Buffalo Sabres and Boston Bruins warm up. And I don't know why it's funny, but every time I see it, I can't stop laughing. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but he does this thing where he takes a stride from the bench and he does like this long coast to the net. And I honestly, I don't know how to describe it other than every time I see it, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I laugh uncontrollably because it just looks so funny. Like this
because he looks like a curling stone.
It kind of does. And I'm like, if Snoopy from Peanuts was a curling stone, it would be Linus Ullmark sliding from the bench to the net. Anyway, but the thing about Ullmark is too, like he's never had like that big, huge pressure moment, right? It never happened with him in Boston. Those games were Swayman. Sometimes it was injury, nicked up. Like that was Swayman. He never had that opportunity in Buffalo because Buffalo was Buffalo when he was in Buffalo. And we'll see if it can happen this year for Linus Ullmark, because it hasn't happened yet in his career. Big high pressure game series, all of it. We haven't seen it yet from Ullmark. I love the player. I love the person. He's so skilled. He makes me laugh. Like all of it. Love his backstory. Everything about him. I just want to see him in a high pressure moment.
I want to mention Montreal in a second, but I will say this about Ottawa. Look, I don't think the NHL is capable of fixing games. I don't think they're capable of fixing the draft. I don't think they're capable of doing all the things that a lot of conspiracy theorists believe they're capable of. That being said, if you are capable of doing anything, NHL, Battle of Florida, okay, Battle of Ontario, boom, boom, first round. It's all there for the taking. If we can somehow work the numbers to make that happen, we got ourselves a jackpot. Those two series, Dallas, Colorado in the first round, with or without Heiskanen.
The problem is, for those that don't know, Peter DeBoer intimated that it might be round 2 before you see Miro Heiskanen. But nonetheless, here's the problem. Despite the big win last night with Auston Matthews, and by the way, I'm a little bit partial to Green. But man, those St. Pat's unis looked really good last night, did they not? Like, they looked really good. But the problem is, I don't know if the Maple Leafs are going to go along with your plan, your conspiracy plan here, because for that to happen, they have to win the division.
Hey, I'm just happy all the players.
As Bobby Holik once told me, we were out at dinner after he retired. You'll like this conversation. I said, how come it works so great in New Jersey? And it didn't work at all, no offense, with New York. And Bobby is one of the most candid and honest people about himself you will ever meet. And I'll never forget this. He looked at me and he put his fork down and he said, Jeff, I'll tell you why. He said, if Bobby Holik is your third line center, you're going to win the Stanley Cup. If Bobby Holik is your first line center, we're not going to win the Stanley Cup. Greg, Maple Leafs are not going to win the division.
Okay.
To go along with the conspiracy of let's get the Battle of Florida, Battle of Ontario going. They're not going to win the division.
And then you're like, Bobby, how did all that make you feel? And then he picked up the check with his Rangers money and said, "It made me feel fine." He
said, "Let me go to the tree in the backyard and pull some money off for this fine meal we're enjoying here." Anyhow,
the Leafs aesthetically looked good last night. Happy all of those players were okay wearing Irish heritage jerseys during the game. Don't want to upset anybody by forcing them to wear something they don't want to. But you're right. It is going to be tricky nice, for them to win the division. Thank you very much. Montreal, real quick. I think it was Eric Engels talked to Kent Hughes down at GM's, and I love this quote. I'm going to read you this quote because I think this is somebody who really understands where they are in the process of contention. We're not going to go into free agency like a bunch of drunken sailors and get stuck with 8-year deals that we wish we could get out of the minute we get into them. But I think we're probably closer to overpaying in terms of what we give up in assets to acquire a player. There you go. We've got a treasure trove. We got some players. We're ready to deal. We're going to bring in age-appropriate players. We're not going to look to augment through free agency. Love it. Come on. You know exactly where you are right now. You know exactly the hand you're playing with.
Yep.
I like Kent Hughes. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders.
When you look at people who are in, like, what are the great skills in the NHL from a manager's point of view? Anyone that I've ever talked to who's a manager have always told me this. One of the great skills that a manager can have now is the ability to manage upwards. Once upon a time, as a general manager, all you need to do was manage downwards. You need to manage your roster. You need to manage your bench, all of that. Now, one of the big skills is managing upwards. And it doesn't always work this way. And sometimes there's conflict, but Hughes and Gorton are right there together. There is, at least optically, there's no friction. And they are completely aligned. There's no the manager wants this. I can see Hughes wanting this, but Gorton's saying, these are, and it doesn't surprise me to hear that quote, because you always look at winning cycles and where they're at on the winning cycle, and Montreal's really close. There's no point in them spending the last couple of years. Stupid. So don't.
Stupid. Don't do it.
Stupid. Don't do it. Now you're getting warmer. Now you're getting warmer, and you're seeing all the pieces, and all of a sudden, Nick Suzuki looks like mini Bergeron. And he does. He
He's
looks
real
like
good.
Montreal Bergeron.
I will say that Gorton is also the guy that signed Panarin. So I mean, it's not as if it's out of the realm of possibility that if the opportunity arises and you have a chance to strike while the iron's hot, you will spend money if you're Montreal. But
the thing is,
philosophically, they're doing the right
thing. But hang
thing.
on a second here, like because rebuilds are all about acquiring talent, and if you have someone like even like right now where the Montreal Canadiens are on their winning cycle, if someone like Panarin is available, of course you do. Mm-hmm. Of course you go and you grab that player. I would say that they would do it, don't you? And even overpay.
Yeah. Oh, you want to know about the wild card in the West?
Yeah.
I am rooting for Utah. I picked them before the season to make the cut. They're close. Like I think they're 6-3-2, maybe 6-2-3, something like that since Jersey came back. Jersey gets healthy. They get Marino back finally for the first time. Defense gets reset. They're defensively 5-on-5 in like their last 10 games.
Yeah.
They are only behind Winnipeg and Carolina. That's how good they've been at 5-on-5 as far as goals per game on average.
Can I ask you something?
Go ahead.
So you're dealing with facts, and I'm just dealing with vibes.
Okay.
That's it. Do you feel bad for Coyotes fans?
Oh, totally. It's not their fault.
Okay.
I had a
hold on.
spiritual awakening about that when I went to Mullet's opening and met a lot of Coyotes fans and just felt you gotta talk to them to really understand the weight of all of this that's been on them for 20 years.
I want Utah to be successful. This is gonna sound awful because I get a lot of people that I know there and I like. I just feel so bad for Coyotes fans that I just don't want Utah to be successful in their first year. Because honestly, I'm still thinking of Coyotes fans on this one who are like, yeah, go Utah with all these players. And 1 year out, you made the playoffs. Oh, you had the ability to make these moves. Yeah, I wish we had an owner like that. I don't know.
This is some real I sent an edible arrangement to the people of Quebec after Colorado's Cup vibe.
No, I didn't like the owner there. That was no problem. Like, good on you, Colorado.
Well,
go
again,
in.
I was going to say, if you want Coyotes fans to feel better about life,
I just
hope that the Oceans gang knocks off one of Alex Morello's casinos in Reno. Okay, don't root against the Smith family.
No, but the thing is, like, Colorado, Quebec City didn't have like years and years and years and years of futility. They had they were in the playoffs. They had big moments and huge brawls that will live on forever with the Montreal Canadiens. They had Stastny and Goulet. Like, they had players and reasons to get excited and pack the Colisée and all that. Arizona didn't have that. They had Jobbing.com Arena.
Yeah.
Glendale.
And then Mullet. Yeah, and Glendale and then Tempe. No, I understand what you're saying. But the other part of this I don't know, honestly. And this is sort of the why do people in Raleigh wear Whalers jerseys to Hurricanes games kind of thing. Well, it turns out this is a guy who used to live in Connecticut. Is how many Coyotes fans have adopted Utah? Like how many are just still how many people that rocked a Clayton Keller jersey are still rooting for Clayton Keller despite him not being there? It's not the player's fault. It's not even it's not even the current ownership's fault that this team is no longer in Arizona. So I wonder, because this isn't like, the Baltimore Colts leaving in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? Like this is a very specific situation. So I do wonder how many Coyotes fans have an affinity for this new Utah team.
I wonder how many, because they do broadcast games into certain areas and they do a lot of marketing there. I wonder how many have switched to Vegas. I wonder how many have switched to becoming Golden Knights fans and just can't bring themselves to cheer for the old Coyotes. Now in Jersey, it just says Utah.
It just feels like if you're a Western Conference fan and you have to convert to be a Vegas fan, it's like you have to drink the blood of the Kali Ma from Temple of Doom. Like there's something spiritually that has to happen for you to go to the dark side and become a Vegas fan. If you're a Western Conference fan,
I don't know, man. Like Vegas does a lot. Listen, Vegas does a lot of marketing there, and games are broadcast there, and like they're always like, honestly, they're send the mascot for the week. Like dude, like it happens. Like Vegas pretty aggressive.
There are some
in
teams
Arizona.
that fancy themselves as regional. The Nashville Predators are a good example too. I wrote a story a few years back. I think it was my first year at ESPN about hockey in Alabama. One of my most proudest stories I've ever written. And part of that was how aggressively the Predators market themselves as the team of the South ever since the Thrashers moved to Winnipeg. And so that you do have Vegas, Nashville, some other teams that try to market themselves as like regional teams versus just being the team in that one locality, which I think is a really smart move.
Alabama is still a tough one for your boy here. Ever since the Toronto Toros moved to Birmingham to become the Birmingham Bulls, that was honestly that was one of my first. We all have them. That was one of my first hockey scars. Lanny McDonald going to Colorado was another one, but my first hockey scar was the Toronto Toros going to Birmingham. Well, remember your first hockey scar? This is going for the chat. You give it to anyone on social media. What was your first hockey scar?
I'll tell you in a sec. Don't cry too much because they're killing it down there. Their attendance is like off the charts good in Birmingham these days. They send me little notes because I covered them in that story, and they're awesome. Destroying it. My first hockey scar is easy. My first hockey scar was when the NHL suspended Jim Schoenfeld for making fun of Don Koharski's weight. And the Devils ended up losing to Boston in the conference final in '88. That was the first. It wasn't
about making fun of his weight. It was the bump. It was like the physical altercation. It wasn't about the donut line. It wasn't about the joke.
You can't prove that he bumped him. He slipped. Schoenfeld said he slipped.
Hang on. You know what I want to show you? Have I ever told you about this? This is totally unrehearsed as well. You mentioned Jim Schoenfeld a second ago. I got something for you. Can you filibuster here for 2 seconds? Hang on. This is
so my hockey scar was when '88 was the first year of me being cognizant of being an NHL fan. It was my first year as a Devils fan. I was a kid, and it was a hell of a year to be jumping on the bandwagon because they made the playoffs the first time. John McClain scores against Darren Pang to beat the Chicago Blackhawks last game of the season. They go through the Islanders. They go through the Capitals. They're in the conference final. My God, is it always this great? And then they lose to Boston, and in the process get their coach suspended for bumping Don Koharski because he's so fat he couldn't stand up on 2 feet. And then also that was also the series, you can go back and witness history, when the NHL referees refused to work the game if Schoenfeld coached. So the game was officiated by amateur referees. Really, but losing that series was my scar because I really thought that in my first season as a fan, my team was going to win the Stanley Cup.
I'm going to amend my will. I just decided. I will probably die. I will probably die before you. And I realize what I'm going to put in my will for you. You know what it is? It's a prized possession. I am going to amend my will. I'm serious. I'm going to amend my will and put this in. This is what you're getting. So, all right. No surprise. This is what you're getting from me.
Okay.
This is
the Jim Schoenfeld album.
Shoney. Now, on this, and you can have a look, it's a picture of him playing with the Buffalo Sabres. Look at him at the piano there as well. And he was a great singer. Oh, man. Great, wonderful singer. So it's a collection of covers. Hair. Incredible. Look at the back. Look at him. Look at him at the piano. Yeah. Oh, Shoney. That's sensitive. For a tough guy, he's pretty sensitive. My favorite on here is his version of All Along the Watchtower, which kicks off the entire album. But not to be outdone by Hey Bulldog by the Beatles. And in between, it's I Saw Her Standing There, Great Balls of Fire, Chain Yang, You Can't Do That, Barbecue in Heaven, Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying. This, I am amending my will for you, Greg Wyshynski. And that's what I'm leaving you. Well, on my way to the crematorium, I will say, hold on, did Greg get the album? Okay, I'm good to go. Yeah. Send me in. That's what you're getting.
For the Jeff, cover your ears. For the Stranger Things fans out there, the cover of the album, he looks like a pre-monsterized Venka from Stranger Things. I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Probably not. It's been a while. They do a lot of time between the seasons.
Where were we?
So yeah, I am rooting for Utah to make the cut. I think ultimately, Calgary makes it. I think St. Louis is going to peter out before they can get across the line. I think Calgary might eke in.
I don't know, man. St. Louis killing it 5-on-5. Like they're doing it the hard way. They're doing it the hard way. They look good, and you know how much I cheer for Robert Thomas.
By the way, since this is happening yet again, can we now put a moratorium on believing that Doug Armstrong is going to do anything at the trade deadline to dismantle his team, only to have the team circle back and make the playoffs? Like after like the 9th time of this happening, can we just stop like even giving him any attention when he starts to be like, I don't know, maybe Jordan Kyrou gets traded. Oh, look, we're the wild card again. Who knew? Who knew?
Bill Beck in the chat, by the way, asked if there's a song about donuts on the album. No, there's not. This is years. This is when Jim Schoenfeld was a player with the Buffalo Sabres and maybe part-time lounge act as well. He was killing at karaoke.
Have another donut, parentheses, you fat pig. It's a song title that writes itself.
Yeah, it's kind of a famous moment there in the 80s. All right, so we move on.
Boy, was it.
Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to man, we're always screwed for time. And you have a list too, don't you?
I do. Don't worry about it. We're good.
We're good?
So we got at least 10 to 13 minutes. We can fit in everything we want to.
We can? Okay, you want to do your
Don't
list?
make me be the optimist here. What? Do you want me to do the list right now?
Let's do your list. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
What's this list? I have no idea what this is.
As you know, Marek, my favorite television show is Top Chef. I host a podcast on the Puck Soup Patreon with my wife Ruby called Mise en Pod, which is a food TV podcast that goes weekly when Top Chef kicks back in. We just entered season 22 of Top Chef, and wouldn't you know, Marek, they have taken the show to the Great White North. Top Chef Destination Canada began last week.
Okay,
they started in the 6, and it looks to be a very good season. So in honor of Top Chef going to Canada, I have given you now a top 5 ranking.
Oh boy.
Of the top 5 food-related player names in National Hockey League history. Now,
I have my favorite.
Listen,
can I get mine out of the way?
Don't give me your favorite yet. No, because he might be on the list. Okay.
Oh, is he a defenseman?
Hold on. We'll get there.
All right.
You're a very eager beaver, which is appropriate since we're talking about Top Chef Canada.
Castor,
Look, there's a lot of potential names to make this list. Okay. The first name I thought of was Kelly Buchberger. Didn't even make the list. Kelly Buchberger. David Pastrnak did not make the list.
Who didn't?
There's a ton of great food names in the annals of NHL history.
Who didn't make the list?
These are the top 5.
Didn't make the
David
list?
Pastrnak
didn't make
and Kelly
it.
Buchberger.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't make it.
All right.
Okay.
All
right. So let's go. Number 5. Top 5 food-related players in NHL history. Andrew Mangiapane. This is incredible. The literal pronunciation of his last name is bread eater. I don't think you can get any better than that. Full marks to Artemi Panarin for having the bread man nickname.
Yes, of course, but that's not.
But Andrew Mangiapane is the bread eater.
It's good. No,
Number 4. Number 4, and I'm sure this is where you were going with it. Number 4, Pear Juice.
That's my guy, Pear Juice. Yeah.
There's your guy.
I think now correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's the player that the Red Wings were scouting when they found Nick Lidstrom. I think that might have been the guy. This
he ended up
guy is pretty good, but 5 is nice too.
Who's this other guy here? Who's this other potential Hall of Famer?
Knocking down all the pucks.
Pear Juice played 82 career games with Detroit and the New York Rangers. He is number 4. Pear Juice.
That's my guy.
Number 3. Got to put a Hall of Famer on the list.
Okay.
Number 3 is Paul Coffey. I mean, come on.
Near and dear to my heart.
What are we doing? Yeah. Paul Coffey. Everybody loves. I mean, most people love coffee. I know that I mainline it every day.
Same.
When I'm not drinking a Celsius. Your boy sometimes gets the jitters. I could have gone Yari Curry here for obvious reasons.
That's
in
my
the
favorite.
Hall of Fame slot. But got to go Paul Coffey.
Okay, strong. 2 more. Right. I'm curious. No Buchberger, no Curry. You really piqued my interest.
Do you have any guesses for the top 2? Well, don't guess because you're going to get one of them. Shut up.
Dave Sushi. I made that name up.
There is no Dave Sushi.
Oh, okay.
Number 2. This is an obscure one. Milan
Chalupa. Yeah.
He played 14 games with Detroit in 1984 to 85. A defenseman, long career playing in European leagues. But Milan Chalupa is the number 2 all-time food-related NHL name.
Was he on? He might have been on the 76 team.
Oh, he's going to look it up, folks.
I'm going to look it up. This is my life. Welcome to it.
Number 1 NHL food-related player name. I mean, who else is it going to be? We're talking hockey.
He was 76. Oh, Bob Beers. Yeah.
It has to be. Why would it be anybody but Bob Beers? Bob Beers is in contention, ladies and gentlemen, for the best hockey name of all time, let alone the best food-related name of all time. Bob Beers, shower beers. Put your Bob Beers in the Zamboni snow to cool them down. Whatever you want to do. Bob Beers is the number one food-related name of all time.
I don't know about best hockey name of all time. Merlin Malinowski's got to be up there. Merlin Malinowski was a beauty. Zarli Zalapski is another one for all time. But I mean, Bob Beers, as far as like food and beverage go. I mean, I like pear juice. I've always been partial to Jeff Bukaboom for one of the best hockey names of all time. Yeah, especially
we'll do that in another episode.
Especially a hard-hitting defenseman like Bukaboom.
I know, it perfectly described him.
Bukaboom.
But again, this is yet another Pandora's box that we've opened on this podcast that we simply can't spend too much time on.
Okay, one more thing, quickly. Goals in the NHL. Yeah. Goals in the NHL, Greg Wyshynski. Goals. Hardest thing to do in the NHL, score goals.
GM meetings are happening down in Florida. My colleague Kristen Shilton is covering it. And she tells me that one of the topics of conversation is about scoring. Scoring is good. Scoring is happening. Scoring, according to the NHL, is over 6 total goals per game. This is the first time in 30 seasons that they've done it for, I think it's like 3 or 4 consecutive seasons. But if you look at Hockey Reference and their calculation, the average goals per team per game is currently at 2.98, which rounded up is 3, but less than 3. No matter if you go to 3 or 2.98, it would mark a year-over-year decline for the second straight season. It would bring us back to scoring levels from the 1920 season. Your thoughts on scoring slowly declining?
Okay.
And should we be worried about it?
No, here's why. Do you know what's up?
What's up, buddy?
What's up, buddy? Shooting percentage. Buddy is up, buddy. So what we're seeing now, and again, this is completely the effects of a couple of things. One, the elite skill set of shooters, but 2, the victory of the analytics crowd over the eye test crowd. Ooh. How many times have you heard the best shot is your next pass coming out of a team? Once upon a time, there was such a thing as overpassing. Not anymore. Now it's all about setting up the perfect shot. Like when I think about, I don't know if he's number 1. I think Craig Simpson has the highest shooting percentage in the history of the NHL. I'm not sure how many minimum games there is, but for whatever the standard is, I think Craig Simpson is number 1. And right up along there is Alex Tanguay. I think he had like a career 16 or 17, maybe even higher shooting percentage. But he was the one guy that I think of when you think about the player who only shot when it was the perfect opportunity to shoot. Think about everything. Okay, right. Put it this way. Think about everything that Mike Gartner was, which was just fire every puck on net. Like the old saying was like, if you pass the puck to Mike Gartner, go off on a line change because you're not getting it back because Mike is going to shoot. He's that guy in beer league that always shoots volume. Alex Tanguay was opposite. He would not shoot unless it was the perfect shot. And now what we have, because of things like pre-shot movement and Royal Road and moving goaltenders and all these types of things, now teams aren't shooting until they have a higher percentage chance of scoring, which is a direct reflection to analytics, which is going to mean that shots will come down, but the shots that they do take are going to have a higher percentage of going in. And that's why, while the goals may be going down, the shooting percentages are going up. So essentially, because don't forget too, save percentages are going down in the NHL, which means
they are.
Players aren't just great at shooting. They are. Their skills are higher than ever, but also the old idea, and I grew up with it, you probably did too, this stupid saying, God, I used to believe it when I was a kid too. I'm so stupid. You can't teach touch. You can't teach touch. Mike Bossy was born to score goals. Yari Curry was born to score goals. These are born goal scorers. All bullshit. You can teach touch. You can teach all frickin' bullshit. What we were fed about goal scoring. You can't teach that. Yes, you can. And and analytics is helping that along. And that's why everyone waits for the perfect shot now. and you don't just see volume shooting. What do you think?
So I agree with you, and I think that also speaks to the other stat that the NHL is putting out there from the GM meetings, which is that power play conversion rates are at their highest since the 1985-86 season.
Yep.
And that is obviously patience. That is obviously the skill of the players. 21.6% conversion rate for the power plays. Now, that brings us to how do we get scoring to go back up? Well, the easy answer is expand more, which is what seems to happen.
Water down the
scoring
game.
Keeps going up and up when the talent gets watered down. So
we need more
hello,
teams.
Houston, hello, Atlanta. Welcome to the fold, and watch the goals per game go up to like 7. But no. So the power play conversion rate is at 21.6%, which is again quite high. 85-86. We're talking, vintage Oilers kind of time as far as the power play conversion rate. But the problem is you don't have as many power plays on which to convert. The power plays per team per game, Marek, this season are at 2.73 as we speak. That's per team per game. Okay. That would be the lowest level since Hockey Reference started tabulating the stat from the 1963-64 season. That's what we're talking about.
Wow.
That's how few power plays per team we're seeing per game. In fact, this is an overall trend. The bottom 10 seasons in power plays per team per game have all occurred since the 2014-2015 season. None of the top 10 seasons in power plays per team per game are from the last 15 seasons. So this is an ongoing trend of teams getting fewer power play opportunities. So I put it to you, Big Brain. Why do you think that is?
Is it 2-referee system?
Well, we've had that for a while.
We have,
but it's not
absolutely have.
But wouldn't that be?
But here's,
are you saying that guys are trying to get away with less because there are two guys watching?
I will tell you this. I've heard this like my entire life. I remember growing up talking to officials and them saying like, "Look, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to give each team 3 power plays and call it a day. Then I've done my job. 3 or 4 power plays a game, and I've done my job." Like honestly, what this winks at is the conversation about how much do you want your game to be power plays? Like how much of 60 minutes do you want for power plays? I've always wondered about this for the call everything set. Like, okay, but at a certain point, like, do you consider hockey to be just an exchange of power plays? And if so, how much 5-on-5 time do you want in between? Like, again, like everyone's answer is going to be different to this question, but at what point does it just become exchanging power plays versus actually playing hockey? Because power plays exist in one zone, and that's it. How much of the full ice do you want to use in a game versus how much of a game do you want to occur just in one zone? I think it's honestly, I think it's a bigger philosophical question than just looking at, okay, the power plays are down here, power plays are down here. I think it gets to like, okay, not that you're just going to be like, old time officials are going to call 4 on each side. Everyone's going to get their 4 power plays and may the best team win. But how much of a 60-minute game are you comfortable saying there's this many minutes dedicated to power play? After that, it doesn't really feel like hockey anymore. Just exchanging power plays and existing in one zone. Do you have an answer?
Let me give you three theories.
Okay.
Real quick. First off is that players have a better understanding of what is and what is not illegal. And understand that there are certain things that they will get called on and there are certain things that they won't. Yeah. They've been educated either through player safety or through preseason videos or just the game itself, and they do less. They do less stuff that would get them in trouble. That's one theory. Another theory is that everybody's fast. So you no longer have guys that need to water ski behind other players because everybody's fast.
There's no more bad skaters.
And with the talent,
that's true. There's no more bad skaters.
With the talent level of the league overall having risen, there's no more bad skaters. Everybody's fast, and you no longer have that disparity where guys have to take a penalty to slow a guy down all the time. The third thing is, and I think this might be the most salient thing, is if we have a league where conversion rates on power plays is at 21.6%, referees aren't idiots. They understand that. They could look across the ice and see what's on Tampa's bench or see what's on Winnipeg's bench.
Are you going to go on Edmonton's bench? Are you going to go Habs like Beliveau, Richard, Elmerlock on us here? Like, no more 2-minute majors. We got to calm down the power plays.
I am simply saying that, like, if it's a 3-1 game, and you have the opportunity to put Edmonton on the power play or Tampa on the power play,
I get it.
And then it's 4-1. Well, then no one's paying attention to the game anymore. I don't want to. I know you are a little bit more sympathetic to referees than I am.
True.
That goes back a long way on this podcast. But cheers, everybody. Raise your tequila shots. But my point being is that I do think that there is an understanding that power plays are quite good now. So if you give a team a power play in a certain situation, you're basically ending the game. And I wonder if that also plays into the decline in power play opportunities per team per game.
I'll tell you where we saw that. We saw that when you were in Punta Cana. There was a Chicago-San Jose game last week. Chris Rooney, through a abusive official, 10-minute misconduct penalty against Connor Bedard. It could have been a minor. It would have put San Jose on the power play. It was a 1-goal game at that point. I think that was Rooney saying, okay, that was my line, but I'm going to do Chicago a solid here. I'm not going to give San Jose a chance to end this game, but Bedard's got to go.
Right. That's interesting.
I think exactly what you're talking about, I think we saw last week in Chicago-San Jose game.
That's a good interpretation of it. I don't think I saw that interpretation from a lot of the reporting. A lot of the reporting
put it on the blog on Monday. But yeah, I threw that out. Like we were mentioning it last week on the pod too. Like I think that was Chris Rooney doing the Blackhawks a solid because he could have just given him a 2. He could have given him a 2, and then San Jose goes in the power play. It's 2-goal spread, and let's face it, Hawks aren't coming back from that. But instead, he's like, throw the 10, stay in 5-on-5
again. Game management happens, and I do wonder again when we're at almost a 22% conversion rate. Look at me rounding up now. You wonder whether or not the whistle goes away in certain situations.
I got to bring up one thing because we are so heavy on time here. I got to bring up one thing because I want to ask you about this person, this player specifically. Oh. So I'm on Blue Sky, Jeff Marek. You're on Blue Sky, and so is Rodney Payne, who sent in. Yes. Rodney Payne submits this. Do you have memories of a past life as a Leaf? Bit of a resemblance here, no? The player he's pointing out is Gord Drillon. Now, Maple Leafs fans off the top of their head will tell you, like, oh, Gord Drillon, that's the last Toronto Maple Leaf player to win the scoring title in the NHL. And Gordy played in like the 30s and 40s. Do we have a side-by-side here? Gord Drillon. We've got a couple of pictures here of Gord Drillon. There's so many pictures. Yeah, just do dog face. Just dog face. There are so many pictures that we were able to come up with that Zach was able to find where you look identical to Gordy Drillon. Now, here's the deal with Gord Drillon. So Gord Drillon was a great goal scorer in the NHL. He was, I don't like saying first a lot when it comes to hockey because there's a lot we just don't know about, but maybe he was the first to popularize standing in front of the net and tipping shots. Like, look at this, Wish. There's more. There's more. There's more coming.
That's pretty good. That one looks pretty good.
There's more coming with Gord Drillon.
The first picture I saw of Gord Drillon that was sent to me on Blue Sky, I thought it was a little bit more Seth MacFarlane than me, but that one's a little bit closer.
So he was. Let me say. So would this describe you as a hockey player? Gord Drillon, great goal scorer, but he scored what we like to refer to as raccoon goals. He tipped pucks in front and he would bang home rebounds. That was him.
There you go.
He was not a great skater. He did not back check like at all. He was in some ways Phil Esposito before there was Phil Esposito. You know the old line about Phil Esposito, if you wanted him to back check, you needed a crane. Same thing about Gord Drillon. And Drillon also really liked to enjoy himself off the ice, Greg Wyshynski. But put him on the ice, he'll go in front of the net, and he was a big frame for his time. He was like 6, at that time he was like 6'1", 180 or something like that, which at the time in the NHL was pretty big. And actually won the Lady Byng Trophy one year as well. If you were a hockey player, would your nearest resemblance, Gord Drillon, actually resemble you as a player? Stood in front of the net, scored 2-foot goals, wasn't really interested in back checking, not a great skater, and won the lady bang along the way. Would that describe
Doesn't
you
like
as a
to
player?
skate. Doesn't like to skate.
Oh, that's a
Just
good
likes
one. Look at that.
Stand in front. Get stolen valor goals by tipping home shots from my teammates. A true gentleman. I assume that he enjoys himself off the ice means he's a chronic
Libations.
masturbator. Yeah.
No, that's from Slapshot.
Yeah,
Eddie Shore sent a guy from Omaha, was coaching in Omaha.
It all tracks. I mean, I think that not only in resemblance facially, but in resemblance in biography, it makes a lot of sense. I will say, though, that Gord Drillon certainly is wasted on a hockey player when that is the perfect name for a Canadian dentist.
Gord, dude. The great. Fuck, you saved the best line for the end. Gord Drillon, the Canadian dentist. That's it, folks. Show's over. Greg,
Right,
stop
folks.
talking. You're not getting better than that. The key now for you is to not talk because you just had the best line of the show. Best name for a Canadian dentist. Gord
Just want to say bye to the listeners. We'll see you next week.
Talk to you in 7 days. There he is, Greg Wyshynski from ESPN. Gord Drillon. How about that one? How about that one, Zach? The best Canadian dentist name of all time. Gord Drillon. There he is, Toronto Maple Leaf. You don't like it? Not even a giggle out of you?
Describing
Nothing?
to people. No, I laughed when he said it. It's amazing. Like what I would describe to people I do for work. Like, I talk hockey, watch hockey, and then listen to and tell bad jokes.
Yeah,
like
pretty much it. And then every 2 weeks, the paycheck shows up and someone yells, "Stop thief." I know. I felt the same way since I started, but don't worry. I know. Rob the bank. Don't have to wear a mask. I know. This is my career, hon. I gotta go to work now. Yeah. We've gone heavy, so we're going to punt the emails to tomorrow. The sheet at thenationnetwork.com is the way to get in. In the meantime, we got games tonight. We got a couple of massive games tonight to share with you. FanDuel, our friends and partners, proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. Roster updates, courtesy of the Daily Faceoff Fantasy Twitter/X feed. When we talk about big games, we mean games like Ottawa and Montreal tonight. Here we are, March 18th, Zach, and Montreal and Ottawa are involved in a meaningful game. Sens are running away with Wild Card 1. They've won 6 games in a row. Habs have a shot at grabbing Wild Card 2. 7-1-2 in their last 10. We talked a lot about Nick Suzuki on the show yesterday. This one should be a dandy, and the atmosphere is going to be, while not at playoff levels, probably just one rung below. This one should be dynamite. Calgary faces off against the New York Rangers. Igor Shesterkin starting there for the Rangers. Islanders taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. I always think Patrick Division, folks. Always think Patrick Division. Red Wings taking on the Washington Capitals. Red Wings with a coming off a nice win against Vegas on the weekend. Logan Thompson starting. Dylan Strome, by the way, will play. He missed practice yesterday for the Washington Capitals. It'll be Hofer versus Saros as St. Louis face off against the Nashville Predators. Just as an aside, do you think St. Louis can do this? Do you think they can get that?
Remember? I do. I think they could kind of catch some lightning in a bottle here. It's going to be interesting to kind of sustain anything. You don't have to Pryko the rest of the regular season, but I don't know. Weirder stuff has happened, I feel like. So I think they could get there. They're kind of fun. Maybe not exactly what they'd be hoping for in terms of like setting themselves up for next season, the year after that, but
doesn't exist.
Doesn't
fun. Exist. Anaheim and Dallas, Oettinger versus Dostal. Spencer Knight starts for the Chicago Blackhawks. He'll face off against the Seattle Kraken, Utah, and Edmonton. I really do mean that. Like, I'm torn. Like, I really do want to see Utah be successful, but like the first year out into the playoffs, like you're an Arizona Coyotes fan. Oh, help me get the dagger out. Oh, that's a tough one.
So a couple people weighed in, by the way, while you guys were talking there about it. On Instagram, actually, we are live on there as well. And
what are they saying?
That chat. Most of the sentiment was that they did care when it happened. They don't care now that the games are being played.
They don't
so
care,
like there was an initial frustration, hurt, anger. Now that the games are being played, it seems like there was a few people at least. Obviously can't speak for everybody, but those are the people that chimed in.
All right, and the Vancouver Canucks face off against the Winnipeg Jets. Vancouver going to get in? Or does it just depend on Quinn Hughes staying healthy and that's it?
Yeah, I think this is all dependent on Quinn Hughes' health. I mean, we saw Pettersson start playing better, but he's not the driver. It's Quinn Hughes. Is he going? Is he healthy?
Yeah, much different team.
That's what it depends. Also, quick note for you for tonight. Yeah. I saw coming in hot, Wally and the York Chop were talking about Brady Tkachuk being the Habs killer. I have something that may potentially counteract this here tonight, Jeff. I don't know if you were aware of this. My friend who's a Habs fan told me about this morning. Okay. Slavkovsky's dad and grandmothers, both his grandmothers, are in town from Slovakia to watch him at the Bell Center for the first time tonight. Way. That is the information I was given.
So he's going to try to do too much. He's going to get kicked out on his first shift. He's going to go try to fight Tkachuk off the opening draw. Just remember I said that in case it happens. He's going to try to fight Tkachuk off the opening draw and get kicked out on his first shift.
Clipped. This one will be clipped, yes. We'll hold on to that.
If it happens, we'll play it. And if not, we'll just...
Gone from
it ever happened. That's a very cool thing, though. I love stuff like that. All right. We got to hustle your email somewhere. We got a couple of doozies, too. The sheet at thenationnetwork.com. By the way, Zach, how was last night on your program? Was it, which bridge are the floats going to fit under here? What's the route going to be? Is everything, no? How was it?
No, it was pretty much like, happy we won tonight. Nice response.
Yeah.
I can't trust these guys. I'm
Fool's
not bought in. No. I took callers last night. It was fun. One of them's in the chat here right now. Maxentius Decimus jumping in. KPG who's hopped in here a few times. A couple callers on the show last night. Saw some people from the sheet chat who were in the chat active there. So thanks to everybody who did show up and support. But no, everybody's like, why would I trust these guys?
This is Lucy in the football.
Why would I trust them?
Charlie Brown. Yeah. Charlie Brown football.
And almost like them doing that also just almost made people more annoyed, being like, we know you could play that way. Like, why do you just not? Like, why didn't you do that on Saturday? So it was an interesting stream. But we had fun.
Zach, wait till you have kids.
Well,
wait till you have kids. That's all sports is. Sports is just a primer for when you have kids. Why did you not? You just did that last night. Why couldn't you do it again? You just did this. Okay. You have the ability to do this. Sports is parent prep. That's all it is. Okay. Enjoy.
All right. Fair.
A lot of frustration. Okay, listen. Thanks to Greg Wyshynski for stopping by as always. Tuesdays with Greg Wyshynski are always a delight for our friend from ESPN. Philly, great job once again putting this all together. I was mediocre today.
You were great.
You know what?
As always.
A mediocre man is always at his best. How about that? A mediocre man is always at his best, Zach Phillips. A mediocre man is always at his best. Thanks so much for joining me today. We're back Philly night tomorrow for more of The Sheet. 3 o'clock. Erin Ambrose stops by the program from PWHL Montreal, and we'll talk to her about not just PWHL issues, but also NHL issues. She is tuned in and plugged in as well. So from the Victoire tomorrow, the defending Defender of the Year in the PWHL, our good friend Erin Ambrose. On that, peace out. Thanks to everyone in the chat today. Always fun. I'm sorry. Gord Drillon, Canadian dentist, was right there my whole life. I've said Gord Drillon's name so many times. Never put those two things together. Canadian dentist. I'm happy it happened on the show. A little disappointed in myself that I never made that connection earlier. But again, a mediocre man is always at his best. With that, we'll bid you good day. Back tomorrow. If you enjoyed that video, and we certainly hope that you do, please hit the subscribe button right there here at Daily Faceoff. I will put this lineup up against any hockey lineup anywhere. It all gets underway at 9 o'clock Eastern with Morning Cup of Hockey. That is Johnny Lazarus. That is Colby Cohen. Then at noon, it's DFO Live. And then 3 o'clock Eastern, The Sheet. Get caught up on everything in hockey.